Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Guys Who Stare at Stats. I'm Cade Kennedy, joined by Andrew Santangelo and our new member of the show, Mr. Ely Noble. So, folks, give it up for Ely. Ely's here for the first time.
How are we doing, Cade?
I'm doing great, Ely. I mean, we got Andrew as well, of course, and we're talking about it a little bit before we get going. Obviously, NFL, Week 2, everything's going to be fun here, but we got a lot of games to get into, so let's just get right into it, folks. Vikings, Eagles, Thursday night. It's going to be fun. It's always fun. That first one of the year on Amazon Prime to make everyone remember, oh, yeah, I got to have Amazon Prime for these types of games now. Exactly. Philadelphia, 6-point favorites in this one. Eagles coming off a win. Vikings have to deal with that loss to the Buccaneers. And, Andrew, we got to start with you. How are the Eagles going to look in this one?
Okay, you say fun on Amazon Prime. I say annoying.
Listen.
I don't find it fun to have to stream the game somewhere. Give me a TV channel where I can just put it on TV. I mean, both teams are honestly already kind of banged up, which is crazy. Think about it. Eagles are missing three starters on defense, and they're, they don't really have a starting running back to kind of rotate, but one of those starting running backs. Vikings, I saw, are missing their center on their offensive line, and then are missing a cornerback as well. So it's kind of crazy. Week 2 already, seeing a lot of guys out. But overall, I think this is a fun little out of division rivalry that's kind of grown over the last few years since the Eagles passed on Jefferson. The Eagles beat them in the NFC Championship game a few years ago. So this one's always circled by both teams. Justin Jefferson even said that today, that they're still kind of bitter from last year, looking to get revenge. So I think it's going to be a fun battle between both teams, a short week. But no, I'm excited to see what Jalen Hurts does. I think he's going to have a big bounce-back game after the struggles the Eagles had last week.
I agree. I think Jalen Hurts is going to he needs to bounce back, and then obviously the Vikings, we're going to see what they can do. They had a rough week last week, and I'd love to see Vikings pull it off.
We're going to start this already. For further context, Ely is a Cowboys fan. Andrew, as we know, is an Eagles fan. So we're going to have more NFC East wars this year, but you look at this one, I think kind of the story of this is going to be, can Minnesota get back on track? You had that rough week against Tampa Bay where you had multiple opportunities, just needing to get one stop or one big play. Couldn't do it. Eagles, they had their game. They were in control of the Patriots for a bit, kind of let New England back into the game a little bit, but the Eagles ultimately made the plays down the stretch when they need to. If I'm picking one, Philadelphia at home, give me the Eagles to take it. And that brings us to our first of the Sunday games. Green Bay, they had a fun time in Chicago, folks. Jordan Love, he played great. Going to Atlanta, though, where the Falcons are 1-0 as well, and they've got a quarterback of their own named Desmond Ridder. They're hoping to see what he can do with that offense. Green Bay, though, 1-point favorites in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is really a pick-em game, especially being in Atlanta. I do like the Packers overall in this game. I think Love actually looked pretty good. So I give them the edge at quarterback. I give them the edge at running back, assuming Aaron Jones goes. I know he's dealing with that hamstring injury last week and left the game early after, I think, a second touchdown. But, I mean, A.J. Dillon's still a pretty good running back there to fill in. I was surprised the Falcons didn't use Robinson as much as they did, or they didn't use him more than they did. But overall, I think Packers are a little bit better team here. And they should be getting Watson back, I think, as well for the receiving core. So that's going to help them a lot. So give me the Packers in this game.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Packers here. I think the Packers were kind of a surprise team on last Sunday. They played really well. Jordan Love was really good. That was surprising. The Falcons, I don't even remember who was it that they played.
Carolina.
Played Carolina. So I'm going to take – hopefully Christian Watson's back. Hopefully everyone is good to go. So I'm going to take the Packers as well.
Well, there we go. We got our first where we all three agree. I think Green Bay, they impressed a lot of people. They certainly impressed me with how they were able to handle Chicago. I think the Packers come out and get another win on the road. And the next one up, the Raiders and the Bills. Bills at home, they're 9.5-point favorites in this one. But, folks, you want to talk about rough. That Bills-Jets game, that has got to be one of the roughest games, especially for the Bills. You look at everything that happened on the Jets side, they still found a way to win that game. Josh Allen had multiple turnovers through 3 interceptions, had several miscues in that one. The Bills just as a whole looked a little bit out of order, to say the least. And the Raiders, they did what everyone kind of thought they had the opportunity to do. They came into Denver. They got a nice, not comfortable win by any means. A 1-point win's never comfortable, especially on the road. But the Raiders looked solid, and that's what you expect them to do.
Yeah, I fully expect Buffalo to bounce back here. I mean, Allen Yeah, he had problems with the turnovers, obviously. I think there's so much going on there in the Jets stadium. I mean, obviously, there's all the hype. We'll get to when we talk to the Jets, but the hype around Rodgers, I think that got in Buffalo's heads a little bit. And, I mean, that defense was unreal last week, and they really caused problems for the Bills. And I think that goes to show how good that Jets team can be. But going back to Buffalo, I think they're going to figure things out. They'll come back here. They're better than what we saw last week. And being home, I think it's going to help them. And Cade, you know my feelings on Jimmy Garoppolo, so I will continue to pick against that guy. Give me the Bills.
As much as I would love to see the Bills keep losing, I'm not a Bills guy. I do think the Bills. I think the Bills come back this week. I'm not a believer in the Raiders either. So, and hopefully Josh Allen doesn't look like last year's Dak Prescott. So we'll see it. I'll take the Bills.
The Bills, I think, are going to win this game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders cover it all. 9.5's hard to do, especially in the NFL. But I think Buffalo at home, they're gonna recover from their mistakes. They're gonna figure things out and get a win there. And folks, you want to talk about a big game? Anytime you get a rivalry is always good. Anytime you get two great teams to watch as well, the Ravens and the Bengals going at it in Cincinnati. Bengals 3.5-point favorites after what was, I think, could be classified as an embarrassment last week for them in Cleveland. But Baltimore, they look perfectly fine. They did what you're supposed to do. They beat the Texans.
That's why I'm kind of surprised to see the Bengals favored by 3.5. I mean, I get it's only 1 week, but until Cincinnati proves that they're going to be the team we expect, I got to go Baltimore here, even on the road. They looked good last week. I know it was the Texans, but Lamar Jackson looked very good running the ball. I get they lose J.K. Dobbins for the season. I think he tore his Achilles, if I remember correctly. That was his injury. But they still got a solid backfield in Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, which you saw last week. And Lamar Jackson's going to cause problems in the running game as well. They should get Mark Andrews back in this game as well. So they lose Dobbins, but they're adding Andrews back, another offensive weapon. And I really like Zay Flowers on this offense as well. So I think that's going to go a long way. And again, Cincinnati just looked really bad last week and looked vulnerable. So I got to take Baltimore here.
I'm going the Bengals here. Hopefully it's good weather, because if it's raining, I think I might take Baltimore.
Game-time weather's supposed to be 72 there, so
it's football weather.
I'm going to take Cincy in this one. I think Joe Burrow's going to come back. I think he got paid so much money. Little nerves were coming in there. So I think they come back. Joe Burrow has a good game. And I didn't like what I saw from Lamar. I know he looked good running the ball, but I'm going to take Cincy.
This is one of those where, I mean, you can even see it on the matchup predictor. It would not shock me if this game goes either way. But I think at home, Cincinnati, they make the improvements they need to. They find a way to get it done. It's not going to be easy by any means. Would not shock me if Baltimore, this is one of those, they look like the better team the entire game. Cincinnati comes back at the end, gets a big play or two, and wins this one. But hard-fought game, I think Bengals find a way to bounce back. Next one we've got up, Detroit. What a win last week. They beat Kansas City. They were 1-0 before everybody else. They got their nice little day of celebration there. Detroit 1-0. Taking on a Seattle team that they got roughed up by the Rams a little bit. Lions 5.5-point favorites at home. And, folks, let me tell you a little bit about Ford Field this year. It's going to be rocking every single game. The Lions finally, they might have taken that step, you could say, against Kansas City to be that team this year.
Yeah, I mean, what better way to get a road win like that than go home and get those fans into it even more than they already were coming into the year with the hype around this team. Obviously, a very well-built defense in the offseason. I think that will continue into this week against a quarterback in Geno Smith. Again, kind of like I said about Robinson with the Falcons, I was surprised the Lions didn't use Gibbs a little bit more in this game, but Montgomery had a fairly well day, so I think that continues. Give me the Lions in this game.
Yep, me too. Watch out, league. I think the Lions are going to have a really good year, and I think the Seahawks are kind of like the Giants in a way. They had a good year last year. I just don't see it happening this year.
Yeah, I think the Lions, I don't think they're going to 100% roll in this one, but they're going to do enough to make another statement win for everybody to show that, hey, if you didn't believe the Lions after last week somehow, they're going to prove it again. And you want to talk about offense? The Chargers had it. You want to talk about offense in the opposite direction? The Titans didn't really have it, only put up 15 against New Orleans. But they meet in Nashville. Should be a fun one. Chargers, 3-point favorites on the road.
Yeah, this is a tough one, but I'm going to go with the home team here. I'm going Tennessee. I think that another week, Tannehill and Hopkins learning together, getting Henry back. I think they need to utilize him more than they did. Both teams are going to be trying to scrap this one out, getting that first victory. I think Tennessee's able to do it at home. I think their defense is a little bit better than the Chargers, and I think that's going to be the edge in this game in a tight battle. But I got to go Tennessee at home.
See, I'm going to go L.A. here. I think the Chargers' offense is just enough better than the Titans' offense to more. Let me think here. The Chargers' offense is just enough better than the Titans' defense is better than the Chargers. So I'm going to take L.A. here. I think they're going to score. This is going to be a high-scoring game. I think Tannehill's going to have too many mistakes again.
We'll see. I think the Chargers find a way to get the job done here. I think they're, like you said, Ely, their offense is a bit better. And when it comes to a shootout, because we know how the Chargers are, this is probably going to get more into a shootout territory a little bit. I think they have just a little bit better of a quarterback in charge in Herbert there to get the job done. Looking at the next one, the Bears and the Buccaneers in Tampa. Buccaneers 2.5-point favorites. Chicago's trying to figure it out after a rough last week against the Packers. If you're Tampa Bay, you're 1-0. You've done everything you could ask for at this point.
Yeah, and I think they moved to 2-0. I think, again, I think we talked about it a little bit last week, Cade, was even though, people are going to make fun of Baker with his up and downs, they got so many weapons around him, and White, Evans, Godwin. You can keep going with this Buccaneers team, and I think that's going to go a long way for Baker. And I think against a bad Chicago team, and I know there's a lot of hype around Justin Fields this year that he's going to take that next step. I don't see it. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay.
I'm also taking Tampa Bay here. I don't see the Bears doing anything. I don't see Justin Fields doing much of anything this year. And I'm going to believe in Baker. Hopefully Baker can have a really good year riding with Baker, and I'm riding with the Bucs.
It's always good to ride with Baker Mayfield as an OU fan, but I think Tampa Bay gets the job done here. I think they're going to have a fun one. They're going to come out. They're 2.5-point favorites. I think they can win by a touchdown or more, honestly, in this one. I think they'll find a way. Like you said, Andrew, when you have so many playmakers you can go to, you're going to put up a lot of points.
Exactly. And that defense, no joke either. That run defense they have in that is very good as well. So we'll see. But did you guys see the Baker comments today? It was pretty funny. I don't know if you knew, but they were saying he was like stealing the Vikings signs. And he was like reading.
He wasn't on the Astros.
Yeah, he said, I'm not an Astros fan. I'm a Rangers fan. I don't steal signs.
There you go. There you go. But the next one we've got here, the Chiefs and the Jags. Kansas City 3.5-point favorites on the road. Kansas City, weird to see them with that 0-1 by them, but trying to bounce back against the Jacksonville team that not had a comfortable week in Indianapolis, but anytime you get a win, it's going to be good.
Yeah, and I was a little disappointed in the way Trevor Lawrence played. I thought he was going to, especially against a team like Indianapolis, who isn't supposed to be that good, I thought he was going to take a big leap forward. Didn't see that in week one. Obviously, there's plenty of games left for him to do that. I do think that team's going to click by the end of the year like they did last year. But I can't see Kansas City losing 2 games in a row. That's what's in my head more than anything else, really, is I can't see them losing 2 in a row. Especially to another team like Jacksonville. It's not like they're going up against a Buffalo or San Fran or Dallas or Philly. So I'm going to take Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is going to get the job done.
Yeah, I'm going to hope that the Kansas City wide receivers can catch a ball this week. So, and I do think I respect Jacksonville, but they were a little disappointing against a not so superior team. So I'm going to take Kansas City 1-1.
Yeah, I think Kansas City gets the job done here. It's going to be a fun game. It'll be back and forth, but at the same time, like you said, Andrew, Kansas City doesn't go 0-2. There's no way in my mind I can conceive them with an 0-2 next to their name.
And they should have Kelsey back, I think, right?
They should.
He's back.
Hey, these two coaches know each other pretty well, too. So
they do.
Peterson and Reed. So they'll have fun with that matchup, too.
Oh, they absolutely will. But we got to flip the script. We talk about a fun matchup. We got to talk about
muddy matchup.
We got to talk about the Colts. We got to talk about the Colts and the Texans. Colts are 1-point favorites in this game. Ely and I were joking about earlier. Tickets for this game are $19, as you can see there. Ely pointed out that's pretty cheap, and I responded, well, who wants to see the Texans? Do you want to see the Texans? And unfortunately, that's just where they are. C.J. Stroud, he went 28 for 44, 242.
Not bad.
Not bad, but at the same time, you're still trying to get everything going there. For the Colts, they looked like they had it a bit more together, but we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah, one of the quarterbacks, well, I guess they don't have to because you can tie still in the NFL.
Technically,
but one of the quarterbacks should get their first career win, so that'd be fun to see. But
Andrew, I hope you didn't jinx them into a tie there.
well, I hope not either. I hate ties, so hopefully I didn't. But I like Richardson here in this matchup. I think he gets the job done for the Colts. They're going to go on the road here, and I think they take it. I think the side weapons are a little bit better in Indianapolis. I think Michael Pittman's the best second piece there on the offenses between the two. So give me Indianapolis.
I'm also going to take Indy here. Can't believe I'm agreeing with this guy so much, but I'm going to take.
You'll find it a lot.
I'm going to take AR over CJ Stroud in this matchup. I like the Colts roster more than I like the Texans roster. So yeah, I'm going to roll with the Colts.
As much as I want to see that, now I kind of rooting for a tie. Now that you mentioned it, Andrew, I kind of almost feel like this could be one of those type of games where it just lingers on forever and everyone's just staring going, really? This is going to be one of those like 9-9 games that happens out of nowhere, but I think Indianapolis gets the job done. I think they come in here. As much as I'd like to see the Texans get a little bit of something going, because, I mean, that's a fan base that's needed for a while now with the rebuild on top of a rebuild they've had. But I think Indianapolis gets the job done. Like you all have said, they're more talented on the roster.
I'll jinx it one more time, too. Not only will one of the quarterbacks get their first win, the coaches are both new head coaches, too.
That's
so
true.
One of the head coaches will have to get their first head coaching win as well. So
if we come back and they're 0-1-1, there's going to be a lot of conversations had. But moving on to the next one, the Niners taking on the Rams. And you look at this one, a California battle. Niners are 8-point favorites on the road, which when you beat up Pittsburgh like they did, Vegas is going to give it to them.
8 points is a lot, though, in my opinion. I'm not saying the 49ers are going to lose, but 8 points on the road against a team, I mean, I get they're missing Cooper Kupp, but Stafford is still a pretty good quarterback. He got the job done last week. I think that the Rams definitely cover that 8 points, but I think the 49ers defense is obviously their strong point. Brock did look pretty good again last week. It looked like even with that injury at the end of last year, he looked like he didn't miss any time with that. But, yeah, the side pieces here for San Francisco are better in McCaffrey and obviously Samuel and Ayuk. So I will take the 49ers here, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than the 8 points.
See, I'm going to take 49ers too, but I think they cover 8 points. I think this game I see this game getting out of hand. The 49ers offense is going to give trouble to the Rams defense.
So this is one of those where it would not shock me at all if the Rams, they had a good week too, obviously. They beat Seattle by 17. Would not shock me if they came out guns a-blazing and everyone goes, oh, okay, this is what we expect from the Rams. But as I mentioned last week, and you're going to hear me say it a lot this year, the Niners are that kind of machine of a team where they can kind of roll through almost anybody and get the job done. I think San Francisco does it here. Not saying they're going to cover in this one, but I think they get the job done.
I think their roster is just so perfect. Like, they don't have any holes. And the Rams offense as well, but I think the Rams defense is what's going to give them trouble.
I said the only real hole with San Francisco was the injury bug that they've always had to deal with. But other than that, they have one of the best teams on paper you can have. But, of course, we all know games played not on paper but on a field.
That's true.
But speaking of games that might be better if they're played on paper, the Giants play the Cardinals this week. Giants 5.5-point favorites after getting blanked by 40 by Dallas. Arizona, the Josh Dobbs year, as we're the Pastronaut era, if you want to call it that. Cardinals had a good week. I mean, as good as you can be for a tanking team against the Commanders. He did just good enough to lose. But Arizona at home, can they find a way to put the Giants in an 0-2 hole?
I don't think they can, as much as I want them to. I will take the Giants here. I mean, I can't trust Daniel Jones at all, but against a team like Arizona, I guess you have to. I mean, if the Giants lose this game, talk about a fan base that is gonna go crazy.
Turn against the quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. Especially after the big contract. So I can't say it because it's only week 2, but I almost want to say the Giants really can't afford to lose this game, especially if they want to contend in the NFC East. Because I mean, if they lose in this game, you figure the Eagles and Cowboys will be able to beat up on them too. But I'll take the Giants here, even on the road. I just think, as much as I do like James Conner, I think Barkley's obviously the better back, and Waller was a good pickup. I will give them that in the offseason. So those pieces are definitely a lot better than what's on Arizona's side. So
hopefully Conner does a little well for my fantasy team. So I'll do
agree.
that. But I'm also going to take the Giants here. I see a muddy matchup, though. I don't think it's going to be very pretty. So, as much as I want the Giants to keep losing, but I'm going to take them here.
Yeah, I think the Giants not roll in this one, but I think they do just enough to beat the Cardinals. It would not shock me, though, if this is one of those games we get to in the fourth quarter and everyone starts looking at it going, okay, what in the world's happening here? This is way too wacky for us already in week 2, but I think New York takes care of business. But talk about one New York team, we got to talk about the other New York team. We got to talk about America's team. Because the Cowboys are 9-point favorites over the Jets, and I mean, I can't think of a more New York Jets type opener than what they had. You bring in Aaron Rodgers. He plays all of 4 snaps. He's now out for the year. Insert Zach Wilson. He comes into the game. He does enough to keep it competitive with the Jets defense doing everything they can to just shut Buffalo down, which they did. And then the Jets made a few plays. And then they took this thing to overtime. And then they win the game. I mean, that's one of the most wacky things I think you could have, you cannot script a game better than that for the Jets, with the situation of Aaron Rodgers going down. But my goodness, now you got to do it every single week after this, and we'll see what the Jets can do, but it's not pretty having to go into Dallas for this one.
Especially.
No, and it's not good for Wilson. His first game back as a starter is going against one of the better defenses in the league. So it's not going to be any easy for him. It will be a fun defensive battle. I will say that. It'll be fun to watch the two defenses, especially after what the Jets did to Buffalo. But, I think the Cowboys get this win. They'll move to 2-0. I mean, I think overall, obviously, Dak's better than Wilson. And you can keep going about on that offense and defense side. I mean, Pollard's better than Hall. Lamb's better than Lazard. So I do think the Cowboys win this game. And it might be a little more low scoring like you saw. I don't think it's going to be as low scoring as Buffalo.
You think they clear 9 points?
I'm only hesitant because the Jets' defense looked really good. I'm going to say I'll take the Jets against the spread like that just because of their defense and the way that defense is played. I got to back that defense again, but I'd be shocked to say the Cowboys lose.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm excited for this one because our offense is going to actually have to do something this game. Our offense had to do nothing last game because our defense was just all over Daniel Jones. But I'm also going to take the Cowboys here, as you know. I think we're gonna beat up on Zach Wilson with the Jets O-line is gonna have trouble against the Cowboys D-line, and like you said, the skill positions. I mean, we're basically better in every position. So I'm gonna take the Cowboys in a blowout.
This is going to be one of those, I mean, Andrew, you mentioned it. I mean, looking at that over-under of just 38 there, that's one of the lower ones it feels like for this week. It would not shock me at all if this is a defensive game. It still wouldn't shock me at all if the Cowboys blow the Jets out. This could be one of those, 21-3 games or something like that where you get the best of both worlds from both of your guys' perspectives. I think that's what happens here. Dallas rolls in this one. Doesn't have to be a pretty blowout. Doesn't have to be a scoreboard-looking blowout to know that the talent levels are a bit different there. Next one, Commanders and the Broncos. Denver, and one day they'll get this thing together.
No, they won't.
Okay, Ely. Okay. You just got to ruin it like that for them. But Denver trying to turn things around. They're 3.5-point favorites at home taking on the Commanders. Commanders, I mean, we talked about a little bit with the NFC East. It's going to be an interesting race because the Commanders are going to try to have to keep up with it. We'll see how long they can last, but good opportunity for them to go 2-0 to start the season.
Yeah, I like Denver in this game, though. Again, I think Wilson overall is going to have a better year than he did last year. I think another game with Sean Payton will do him well. As much as I like Sam Howell, I liked him in college, I just can't trust him yet here in the NFL. And they go on the road against a Denver defense that is usually pretty good. I know it's not what it used to be like in the past, but I think overall it's still solid, especially against this Washington team. I do like Denver at home.
I'm gonna take an upset here. I'm gonna take Washington. I'm gonna say they're gonna beat Denver. I'm not a Broncos believer. I haven't been since Wilson went there. So that's all I got to say about that one. Washington on top.
This is one of those, I feel like Denver wins kind of in spite of themselves kind of games where their defense does just enough to prevent any mistakes on the offensive side of the ball. Denver wins in a close one. That's what I'll go with for the Broncos there. And the next one, Dolphins, Patriots, Miami. 3-point favorites on the road. The Dolphins, well, they proved they can put points on anybody this year. When you put 36 on somebody, that's always going to be fun to watch. However, the Patriots, they did almost exactly what you didn't expect them to do. They hung with the Eagles the entire game. They made it close, got down to the wire, couldn't get the job done against a great Eagles team, but Patriots showing they're going to be tough outs again.
Yeah, I think that Patriots defense is the real deal, and I think that's what's going to keep them in a lot of games. I don't think that offense is too much to go about, and I think that's where they're really going to cost them games, and I think that's why one of the reasons why I cost them this game here as well is because I don't think they're able to score with Miami. I think that receiving duo is probably the best in the league, if not at least one of the best in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And I think that just continues here on Sunday. I think Miami's able to get the job done, even in New England.
I agree. I think Miami wins. I think it's pretty ugly for them, though, because like you said, the Patriots' defense is legit. They hung around with arguably one of the best rosters in football in the Eagles. So I think Miami wins. I don't think it's as cute. I don't think it's 466 yards through the air, but I'll take Miami.
Yeah, this will be one where the Dolphins will be grounded a bit in this one. They're not going to be able to throw it as much as they like, but they'll still find a way to get the job done. I think the Patriots defense does well, but they're not going to be good enough to outscore Miami. Next one up, getting to the Monday night games. We get 2 Monday night games this week because you got to love a 6 o'clock kick and then a 7 o'clock kick on ABC especially. Just, got to have one exclusive for each of the ESPN networks. You got to have one for everyone to watch and one for almost everyone to watch. So I don't know why they do it, but they do. They're going to subject everybody to New Orleans and Carolina. Saints, 3-point favorites on the road here.
Don't they usually do it week 1, though? So did they not do it week 1 this year because of Rodgers? Did they show off Rodgers?
Yes, that was the whole point, was Aaron Rodgers was the spectacle, and look what happened.
He played like 18 seconds.
Yeah,
okay, I just want to make sure that I wasn't crazy that they usually do it on week 1 and not week 2.
You're right,
okay.
They usually do.
Well, it's 100%, so they didn't have to conflict with Rodgers.
It was a special moment, Andrew, and then it got ruined.
But anyway, back to the game. I can't see Carolina winning this game even at home. I think Carr, he's not the obviously best quarterback, but he's serviceable, especially in a game like this. Those skill positions for the Saints aren't bad, and the receiver end of things, and it's always fun, however they're going to mix in Taysom Hill somehow in that offense. And you know what, the Saints defense, it doesn't get there. It's not as good as like the top tier teams, but I don't think it's a defense to overlook. And against the Carolina team that's obviously going to be figuring things out throughout the season, I think Saints win this one kind of easily.
As much as I want Bryce Young to get a win, I agree with you over there. I think the Saints pretty easily win this game. I don't see how the Saints just have a better roster basically all throughout. So I'm going to roll with the Saints as well.
Yeah, this is one of those where Carolina's going to put up a good effort. It's the nicest thing I could say about Carolina this year so far. I'm sorry, but I think the Saints, they don't roll in this one, but this is one of those games where you go, oh, yeah, Derek Carr's not a bad quarterback. Why did I think he was a bad quarterback? The Saints win in a nice one there. But the game I think most people are going to switch to after that first quarter of the Saints-Panthers game. The Browns and the Steelers, the true Monday night game. I don't know if you want to – I'm sure Saints-Panthers fans will love me saying that, but – 2.5-point favorites are the Browns as Pittsburgh got shellacked at home last week. And the Browns coming off a pretty big win themselves.
Yeah, I just think I got too much faith in Mike Tomlin to see that happen again to the Steelers. I'm gonna go Pittsburgh here at home. I think Monday night they always find a way to kind of win these big games. And I get it. I will say Browns have the better roster. I think that's no argument there. But I just think Pittsburgh Monday night they're in the spotlight. Tomlin always finds a way to get the job done. Yeah, there's a reason why he hasn't had a season under 500. So I don't know why, but the Steelers find a way to get it done.
The under 500 season will happen this year. I'm taking the Browns in this one. I think Deshaun Watson has a really good game. I don't think he looked that well through the air. So I'm going to take Cleveland in a close one.
This is one of those that, Andrew, like you said, this is a game that Pittsburgh kind of usually, against all odds, finds a way to win. I just don't think they have the team to do it this year, though. This is one of those games where any other year I feel like Pittsburgh would win it. And I think it'll come down to the wire. It'll be competitive, of course. It's always a fun Monday night rivalry, but I think the Browns are just able to find a way to just simply ground and pound with Nick Chubb, switch running backs around. Watson will play better, I think, but at the end of the day, I think Cleveland takes care of business and gets the job done here. So, folks, it's going to be a fun week, too. We kind of talked about every game here. Looking at it, though, kind of one thing I want to add on this kind of question time, I guess. We talked about all the games. To you, what's the best game of the week? What game are we looking forward to the most?
The best game of the week.
Or at least one you're expecting to have the most fun
I would probably
watching,
say,
or whatever way you want to phrase that.
I think the best game of the week turns to Baltimore-Cincinnati.
That's what I was going to say.
I think
agree.
A matchup, again, I'm intrigued just because of the way both their defenses looked last week, is New York and Dallas. I just think which offense kind of figures things out a little bit better going into this week. And I get the Cowboys obviously didn't have to do much on offense, but they might be in that same spot this week if that defense dominates Zach Wilson again, and it might be a similar situation. Or you could have a defensive battle. So that game intrigues me because of the defenses, but I think top to bottom, best game is probably Baltimore-Cincinnati.
Especially with the quarterback power in that. You got two staple quarterbacks in that matchup. And I mean, I guess Zach Wilson's known a little bit, but he's known for not being a bust.
Yeah, I was saying Baltimore-Cincinnati is probably the game of the week. If we had to pick worst game of the week, which I think is a lot more fun to talk about.
There's a couple, actually.
To me, it's that Indianapolis-Houston game. That just, now that we joked about the tie and everything, that just screams something weird's going to happen in that game, and it's just going to be miserable to sit through forever.
See, I think it depends on how you look at it. Like, if you're going to go probably, roster-wise, you'll probably pick that game. If you're going to go, like, interest level, I think you can – I always like the young guys, so I find a little bit of interest in that. You have two new head coaches going at it. You have two rookie quarterbacks going at it. So, in that sense, honestly, the game that really strikes no interest to me is the Saints-Panthers. I just think that's going to be one-sided. Again, I think Saints got so many veterans coming back. I think that gets ugly quick.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to go Saints-Panthers.
I agree with him. I also think New York and Arizona is going to be a very boring game to watch. I think New York wins, obviously, but it's just going to be not fun to watch at all.
Well, there we go. So we got our good games. We got our kind of sickos, bad, whatever you want to call them games. Everything's set up there. But, folks, as always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like it and subscribe to the channel as well. Leave a comment down below. We always want to hear, what do you think we got right? What do you think we got wrong? You want to just yell at us in the comments and say that we all have no idea what we're doing. That's great. It's a free country. You can do all that fun stuff. But until next time, everybody, have a good one and enjoy week 2.